Wakey, wakey, everyone. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning, dear friends. Good morning to you. Today we'll once again all gather round the telly for a rousing round of Simon Says. Oh, I wish I could join you, good people. And don't forget, there'll be cake and prizes for all winners, and everyone's a winner, and everyone will be there. So don't miss it, or the villagers will break your legs. And then where will you be when Simon says, jump like a frog? Well, you'll be writhing on the ground, won't you? But seriously, unless you have an awfully good reason, such as being recently deceased, do be a sport at 3 o'clock, won't you? We love your company. Well, I was up all night fretting. I'm joking. I had a fantastic night's sleep. Actually, I can't remember a single thing about last night. And that's how I like it. Well, what's going on today in the village of Hamlin? The circus is coming to town. Ha-ha! No, I'm sorry, I fooled you. And we wellies do love our games. It's important to stay young at heart. So use our playgrounds. Well, after all, if you don't, who on earth will? Wellington Wells is a delightful place. If you just do like everybody else and you take your joy, you'll have a splendid time. And if you don't, well, one less mouth to feed, eh?
It can't be that funny, okay?
It has the general shape of a garden gnome. That is, it is short and squat and has a rounded, pointy top, just like a gnome's pointy hat, but is smooth and metal and nothing is painted on it. What is it? Should I make it into a lamp? If I can get the hat off, it would make a perfect umbrella stand. I think I can get the hat off if I heat up the bottom part in the fireplace. What do you think? Oh, well, Mrs. Overshaw, I think what you might have here is an unexploded artillery shell. So, no, my dear, I would not particularly recommend heating it up in the fireplace. Would you mind dropping by Mrs. Gillian Overshaw's place at 25 St. Giles Crescent and help her in disposing of this rather peculiar garden gnome? Thank you. There's a good chap. Well, dear Mr. Worthing. Oh, Susan. There's no need to be so formal. You can call me Jack, or Uncle Jack. But don't call me Mr. Worthing, because that's me father. And definitely don't call me Mrs. Worthing. Anyway, do you find yourself wondering exactly what your house looks like and how to get to it from wherever you are? Does it seem as if the shops and the streets have all been moved around behind your back, and the map that you have in your head of your environment doesn't quite match the one in your memory? Dear Mr. Worthing. Well, there's no need to call me Mr. Royston. We're all friends here, aren't we? And besides, Mr. Worthing is me father. Take more joy, and then you forget that you've taken that, and so on, and so on, and so on. But, Mr. Farrell, I can assure you that no such thing exists as a joy spiral. I mean, you might as well believe in the Tooth Fairy, or Santa Claus, or those people who tell you that we lost the war. It's ridiculous. And, hang on a minute. A scented envelope. I like those. Dear Uncle Jack, my husband won't take off his happy face at home. He won't even take it off in bed. He's that healthy. He says he has nightmares if he takes it off, but it's a little, creepy in it. She actually wrote in it. And she says, I mean, he could be anyone. Well, Purdy, are you sure he actually is your husband? Certainly, if he's having nightmares without his happy face, well, why on earth should he sleep without it, when he can sleep with it and not have nightmares? So, come on, have a little conjugal consideration and appreciate his good qualities. Assuming he is, after all, not an imposter. But you can be perfectly sure that absolutely no one is moving around underneath the pavement. Well, I'm glad that's settled. John Lydon, of Benwell Road. Dear Jack. Well, I guess he isn't the sort of fellow to cry uncle, Mr. Lytton? Dear Mr. Worthing. Oh, Edwin. Let's be friends, shall we? Actually, I'm just going to edit this one a bit. Dear Uncle Jack, I was cleaning out my garage, and I came up with a big pile of newspapers from the war. Yes, well, I'm not going to read the rest of this letter. All right. We'll give it one more go, shall we? Ah, it smells like roses. Dear Uncle Jack. Yes, I forgot to mention who it's from. This is a... Take another whiff. Yes, definitely rose. I wasn't mistaken. It's from Susan Jane Ballion of Chislehurst Vicarage. Let's see what Rosalie Millay Scott has to say. Wait a second. Do I detect a hint of roses? Oh, Rosalie. If this is a love letter, it's going to be very embarrassing when I read it out in the air. Dear Uncle Jack. Well, that's better, isn't it? I'm so glad I was able to help. Well, I did so enjoy hearing from all of you, my dear listeners. Yes. I love these letters. I'm going to say a word. And ladies, if you can get a bobby to say that word, you're allowed to kiss them. But you're not allowed to say that word to them because that would be cheating. All right? The secret word of the day is epistemology. One sometimes forgets a thing or two, don't we, if we overdo it. You know, I actually think it's best to write things down if they're really important. In fact, I seem to have written a note to myself just the other day. Let's see what it says. Don't forget to do it. Well, I should be a little more specific next time, eh? Well, that was a bit strange. So thoughtful of you, Mr. Pike. I do hope they got her out of the sewer. And if not, then it's one less mouth to feed, eh? Think about that. I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. If you hear a good joke, please don't hesitate to drop a note marked Humour Hour at our studio, 2 Marlborough House, in the centre of Wellington Wells. Tune in again next time for the best in English humour. See you soon. Question. How is a puppy like a mortally wounded downer? Answer. Eventually they'll both stop whining. Oh, Mr. Kitchen, you're quite a character, aren't you? Oh. You know, I miss my dog. What am I saying? I don't miss anything at all. I've got it all right here. Question. Why do we bury downers 20 feet underground? Answer. Because deep down, they're really nice people. Deep down, yeah. I think that's the best one of all. It really is. Having trouble sleeping? Think it might be nice to take a walk down your street and take in the moon and stars? Well, get yourself into your kitchen and warm up a cup of milk and go take a look at the moon and the stars out of your window. And if you notice any suspicious characters skulking round your neighborhood, be sure to lock all your doors and bar all your windows, and inform a local policeman if you can find one. It's also a very good idea to stick to piped water and any sealed supplies that you may have, at least until the sulfur powder has washed away into the sewer system. Again, nothing to be concerned about, but do be careful to take a few precautions and keep tuned to good old Jack Worthing, that's me, for further updates. Well, look at you. What are you doing? Yes, that's right. I'm talking to you. What on earth do you think you're doing? Are you where you should be? Are you doing what you should be doing? Of course you are. Let's face it, There's nowhere we'd rather be and nothing we'd rather be doing than living our lives here and now in Wellington Wells, eh? Did you know that Simon Says was invented in 1266 when Simon de Montfort had control of King Henry III? And no matter what King Henry ordered, it didn't matter until Simon Says. Clap your hands. I did say Simon Says, you see. I just said it as part of another sentence, so yes, you and you're out. Simon Says you're out. Well, you're all doing brilliantly. Isn't this fun, eh? I think it's great fun. Simon Says spin. Simon Says put your hands on your hips. Run in circles. I didn't say Simon Says. I hope all of you had a fantastic time.
I'm not doing so good. I think I just fucking broke my leg.
Tune in again next time for another rousing daily recreational activity. Thank you all for playing. I'll see you soon. Simon Says you're out. Very good. You're all beautiful. Yes. Go on, give it to me. Simon Says, give it to me. Yes, very good. Simon Says, do everything I do, I shouted, even if I don't say Simon Says. Swing right, swing left, swing low, swing chariot. Lunge, again, step forward. Right, left, right, lunge, yes, finish him. Fatality. Oh, yes, that was terrific. Very, very good. Now, I'm not actually going to slice this potato because the drying process takes several hours and, well, we haven't got all day, have we? Oh, yes. I've got plans for you later, Mr. Potato. You've got a date with a hot pot full of boiling oil.
Look, Pim, I know it's our job to help this guy and everything, but I think this guy's a lost cause.
Do bear in mind that sawdust has surprisingly little nutritional value. Man cannot live on sawdust alone. You probably don't like eating your vegetables dry, unless you're a cow, in which case you're hiding it very well. Bravo, you. And do let me know where you live so I can eat you up. Now, what you ought to do is, here's another lichen that people like to call moss. It's called Iceland moss, and guess where it's really common? Yes, Hamlin, that's where. What did you think I was going to say? Now, I've had some of this, and let me tell you, it is scrumptious. Well, all right. Perhaps it's not quite scrumptious, but it's quite filling if you're hungry. In fact, I quite like it.
Boo!
Oh, dear. I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. By the way, Jack, are you Catholic? Actually, I'm Anglican, like most people here. Oh, dear. I think we better put you down for a beheading. After the interview, perhaps? You could convert? That sounds much more jolly. Oh, dear. You sound disappointed. Well, Jack, you've no idea how a good beheading can cheer one up. Well, I don't know about that. Well, what about fun and family and love? I am married to King Philip of Spain. Ah, well, you're in a bit of a jam then, aren't you? Well, fortunately, I'm dead. Well, that is one way to solve one's problems, isn't it? And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Her Majesty Queen Mary. If only she'd had joy, she might not have beheaded quite so many people. But Jack, don't climb it for always eating my lettuce. Well, you do sound a little upset. But I'm mad. I'm absolutely mad. Mad King Joy, barking. Have you tried joy? Today, we're going to talk about human sacrifice. Yes, many of our forebears enjoyed a human sacrifice or two. And I'm not just talking about watching a good hanging, like we did during the... Never mind. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm talking about. Well, now, since the 1st of May is coming soon, let's talk about the ancient tradition of the maypole. Some people claim the maypole was a naughty Roman ritual about, well, we're all grown-ups here, aren't we? Do I have your attention now? Now, I know you've all been good this year, and if you haven't, well, I don't want to hear about it. But wouldn't it be fun to dress up as a Krampus and scare wicked people? It's called a piñata, and we have one right here. Here he is. Wouldn't that be fun? Smashing a clay pot full of treats? You know, it's sort of the reverse of what you do with downers. Smash them until you can get the joy into them. There's a surprisingly nasty little disease called cholera. Yes, its main symptoms are vomiting and diarrhea. See if you can get your hands on some old cough drops, or if you haven't any left, drink plenty of tea, rest as much as you can, and try not to cough, and it'll probably eventually go away. But coughing up blood is, like it or not, also a traditional sign of tuberculosis. Yes, tuberculosis is a nasty, infectious disease that we just about eliminated from England before the war. Guess who brought it back to us? They should be washed thoroughly with soap and bleach if you can get it, and they should be hung out to dry at least until a warm, sunny day dries them out, because nothing disinfects like sunlight. Now, some of you dear listeners have been writing in about some sort of plague that's supposed to be going around Wellington Wells. Now, first of all, don't be ridiculous. If there were a plague, wouldn't you expect to notice dead bodies in the streets strewn here and there? But you don't notice them, do you? And he writes that some of the wastrels have become quite incoherent and belligerent. And, well, he chalks it up to plague. Well, you don't have to blame it on plague, do you? I mean, I'd be belligerent if I were off my joy. Who knows? I might go around murdering people in the middle of the night and leave a trail of corpses missing their kidneys. But I do take my joy, don't I? But if the winter was hard, the summer was harder still. For the summer brought rats. They came onto the beaches from a ship that had sailed from France.
French person? Oh!
And they said to themselves in their rat speech, "Here is a rich town. Let us eat everything we can." Well, they were never seen again. Nor was the piper. Though, perhaps he was. For there are villages in old books that are not there now. And who knows if they, too, vanished in the woods to the piper's tune. Who knows if this is a true story or just a fairy tale? But somehow, you know that it must be true, because who could invent such a horror? "Come and see in here," sang out the wolf. Come in. "Why don't you have some wine?" said the wolf. "There's a bottle on the table." So Little Red Riding Hood drank her mother's blood. And the cat said, "Meow, you're drinking your mother's blood. Why don't you make yourself a ham sandwich?" So Little Red Riding Hood made a ham sandwich out of her mother's ham. "Well, what should I do now, Mother?" asked Little Red Riding Hood. "Take off your clothes and get in the bed with me," said the wolf. "Well, what should I do with my apron?" asked Little Red Riding Hood. "Throw it in the fire. You won't need it anymore." So Little Red Riding Hood threw her apron in the fire. "What shall I do with my dress?" she asked the wolf. "Throw it in the fire. You won't need it anymore," said the wolf. So Little Red Riding Hood threw her dress in the fire. "What shall I do with my petticoat?" asked Little Red Riding Hood. "Throw it in the fire. You won't need it anymore." So Little Red Riding Hood threw her petticoat in the fire. "That is good enough," said the wolf. "Cut it here, next to me." "Oh, Mother," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what a long nose you have." "All the better for smelling you," said the wolf. "And don't you smell delicious, my sweet?" And that's the story of Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf. What a wonderful story. I hope you enjoyed hearing it as much as I enjoyed reading it. And I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. Tune in again tomorrow for another bedtime story. Good night, all. See you tomorrow. It's getting late, isn't it? And it's time for all good wellies to cuddle up in bed. You don't want to be out after dark, do you? Foggy Jack might come for you. And then where would you be? In several places at once, wouldn't you? The woodcutter's wife said, "Here's what we'll do, Liebling." The woodcutter's wife answered that door. The woodcutter woodcutter's wife... Here it comes. The woodcutter's wife answered the door and, well, Gretel quickly cut her down with an axe. Good old Gretel. And the moral of the story is, if you want someone dead, do it yourself. Well, no, that's not actually the moral of the story. This story doesn't have a moral. Good stories never do. But when Goldilocks came by the bear's house one morning and noticed that the bears were not there, she said to herself, "What a nice house. I wonder what is in it." So, Jane Bear looked at her bed, and at first it looked like it was still neatly made. But then she saw Goldilocks. "And someone's been lying in my bed," she shrieked, "and she's still there." So Henry Bear hit her with his big bear claw and knocked her head clean off her shoulders. Oh. They felt much better. And the moral of the story is, don't go wandering round at night or you might get killed. And I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. Tune in again tomorrow for another bedtime story. This is Jack Worthing telling you to have a lovely night and pleasant dreams. See you tomorrow.